Buenas and half a day, everyone. Welcome to the Guam Congress Building. We're here today to present Resolution number 387-36, relative to posthumously recognizing Mr. Carlos Meno Paulino. I'd like to thank my colleagues for being with me today. This is Speaker Therese Terlahi, Senator Tony Atta, Senator Jim Moylan, and we are here also on behalf of Vice Speaker Tina Rose Muña Barnes, who couldn't be with us today. And we'd like to welcome the family here. We have a packed house in our public hearing room, so we know that this is a very special day for us to honor your family, Mr. Carlos Meno Paulino, and we are thankful for you to join us here at the legislature and allow us to do this, to put this in our records of the Guam legislature, which will be there forever, and you and your children and your children's children can look at it, at his history and legacy, and be very proud of that. So welcome everyone, and we will now do the reading of the resolution, then hear from some of the family members today. Relative to posthumously recognizing the late Carlos Meno Paulino for his contributions and efforts in promoting and perpetuating the CHamoru culture, and expressing condolences to his family on his passing on behalf of the people of Guam. Be it resolved by Iminay 36 na Legislature Guahan, whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino was born on November 27, 1943, and is from the village of Malolo. He was married to Antonio Paulino, and they have 6 children and several grandchildren. And whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino was passionate about preserving, promoting, and teaching traditional CHamoru practices, he was especially adept at rope making, a critically important tool to the lanchero traditions, as well as to traditional construction techniques on Guam, and this skill was passed down to him from his father, Juan C. Paulino.
Whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino was one of the early crafters and pioneers at Inalahan Gefpago, historic Inalahan, when it was created in the early 1990s. He was a jack of all trades as a coconut candy maker, coconut oil maker, and sea salt maker. But his expertise in hut building and his knowledge of materials and sustainable harvesting methods, processing materials, and even burning the coral to make afuk was invaluable to Inalahan Gefpago, historic Inalahan. And whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino often made presentations to groups with samples of the various plants, talking in detail about their uses, where to find them, how to process them. He harvested according to phases of the moon, stressing that the wood and thatching materials will last longer when harvested when there is no moon.
Whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino served in many roles at Inalahan Gefpago, historic Inalahan, including as a supervisor, a historic presenter, a crafter, and the late Carlos M. Paulino is also remembered for his service at the University of Guam mailroom, where he retired. And whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino contributed significantly to the proliferation of the CHamoru culture, and his passion to ensure that Guam's history and heritage is passed on to the younger generations was a driving mission of his that he followed through with demonstrations and teachings at Inalahan Gefpago, historic Inalahan.
Whereas the late Carlos M. Paulino died on June 1st, 2022, and he was laid to rest on Saturday, June 18th, 2022, at the Inalahan Cemetery. Now therefore be it resolved that Iminay 36 na Legislature Guahan does hereby, on behalf of the people of Guam, posthumously recognize the late Carlos Meno Paulino for his contributions and efforts in promoting and perpetuating the CHamoru culture, and express condolences to his family on his passing on behalf of the people of Guam. And be it further resolved that the Speaker certify and the Legislative Secretary attest to the adoption hereof, and that copies of the same be thereafter transmitted to the family of the late Carlos M. Paulino and the Honorable Lourdes A. Leon Guerrero y Megahagan Guahan, duly and regularly adopted by Inminay 36 na legislature in Guam on the 22nd day of June 2022. And again, we want to thank everyone for being here, and now we'll invite the family members to come up and Dr. Judy Flores to come up to speak a little bit about Mr. Paulino. Please join us.
First of all, on behalf of the entire family members, we want to say Donkaluna Sidzus Maasi. Thank you so much, and we pray that through this resolution that we have just heard today, we all witness the praying of it, and so we pray that it will become very inspirational and it will continue to perpetuate the things that all of us in the CHamoru culture, we want to see that it continues into the from one generation to another generation. And so thank you so much. I just want to say a little bit about our brother Carlos. One of the most beautiful things, our beloved Carlos, one of the most beautiful things that I know of about our culture, and that is, it's not enough that we are given a baptismal name. His baptismal name is Carlos. But at the same time, as he grew and grew, my parents were able to see that he was really very skillful with his hands. He was a great carver. He was really an artist. Really, he would just go to the fogun sanhijong, the stove normally that we used to cook things outside, and you just take the charcoal and you start drawing things. And so my father particularly saw how he was able to use his hands to do things beautifully. And so he was given a name, so-called Lalung. So we call him now Difunto Lalung. The other one is that when you marry somebody also, you're given another name. And so that is a sense of identification for the other family. And I thought that was really beautiful. So if we just really continue to reflect on our cultural practices, it is something that needs to be, those practices, they need to be perpetuated. And I thought that was really great. Difunto Lalung comes from or Carlos, not enough with Carlos, but Carlos, Difunto Carlos, Difunto Lalung, Difunto Asaguan Antonia, and all that, And so we come from a big family of 19. So can you imagine living together with so many? I remember one of the bedrooms, it was like a barracks. And so we all had to, the single bed, some of us had to sleep on the floor, not enough bed, so that's what we had to do. And I'm sure that my sister-in-law back there stayed with us at that house. That house, it was a pretty big house, but yet 19 plus all the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren and the other generations. And so altogether, I know that when we celebrated our family reunion, we had more than 1,200, all those generations were identified. So it's really great. And so please, I pray to God that we will continue to do what it is so that, we can show to the world who we are as, a group of people. Because we are also beautiful people. And one of the things that I know of is the Inafamolik, the culture of Inafamolik. It's not just enough with Inafamolik, but also at the same time, Inagofli and Inagwaja, those three could not be, they're inseparable. So Inagofli, one of the things that we were taught when we were growing up and that is to look beyond the skin of a person. To look beyond the skin of a person. And that's how, despite the things that we, our parents, our siblings experienced, and none of them were born during the war, including Carlos or different to Lalong, different to Carlos. Now I have to say all those. And so one of the things that we have learned through that cultural practice with those three cultural values or family values is never hate a person. Because when we hate a person, it only creates a war. And it does not belong to us, out here. This is supposed to be a paradise for all of us. It looks like I'm talking too much.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, okay.
As I look out at the faces, I just owe so much to the Paulino family because they were the backbone of support. You family members, so many of you were the backbone of support for Gef Pago since we started. I helped found it when I was working in Kaha in 1991, and we started operations in 1992. And first of all, I tapped my pari Bill Paulino to serve on the board. And of course, he knew all the resources of his family. And from there, we got Carlos, the Fininina Batkada, Carlos, together with Tony, who is here. And through the years, we had Joey, his godson Joey, as a board member, and helped me here, Carlos, because we had so much help. I know that Floren Paulino, Terry's sister on the Meno side, she was also there. And Carlos, like all of you that I have mentioned, really had a passion for Gef Pago. And thanks to that passion, Carlos was, he was the last one, I'm telling you. We lost Tanflorin, we lost Tuninashu, we lost so many of the old people who grew up doing the things that we were showing at Gef Pago. And I think in this family, there is hope. And I'm going to leave it at that. Look at these younger generations and what you have, the heritage that you have, and use it. Thank you very much.
And Malik, can you define, we like to define the word Gef Pago. Gef Pago, it means a continuing beauty. So I remembered we were brainstorming of how we're going to name this place. And so I said, that's easy. Oh, I'm so sorry. And I said, that's easy. The word should be Gef Pago. It's a continuing beauty. And so that reflects who we are as a people. It gives us that sense of peoplehood that we need to look at ourselves and say, this is who we are as a group of people. So let's continue and hope with all these children that are here today. We pray that one day they are going to start taking, and I know, those places. I know that there are some college students here, or students from high school, right? And I pray to God that, all of you will be inspired to take one step at a time. Okay?
Can you please stand? We want to invite the family up and we'll present the resolution. So please come up.
Uncle Bill.
Uncle Bill. Yes. Yes. So we'll invite everyone to come up to take a picture, children, grandchildren. Yes. Roy. Roy.